My name's Damon Bennett, and welcome to CFB Trenton. So very special day for me today. I'm a huge history buff, and today I actually get to go to the old Picton Air Base that was used as a training base during World War II. I get to go with the current owners and Colonel Keever to learn a little bit about its history. I can't wait. Oh, jeez, look at this place. We're here. Hello, Jackie. Hey. Steve. How are you? It's Damon. Yeah, Colin sent me. How are you guys?
Good, thanks.
Well, I just wanted to come and see the place. Colin has talked so much about this place, and he loves this place that I had to come and see it for myself. And just actually driving in, wow, is what I have to say. Is that the space behind us?
It is. This is the 1952 version of Camp Picton. In 1941,
Yeah.
April 17th, April 28th, sorry, the first instructors and boys came on to camp, and they
What was the date, sorry?
April 28th, 1941.
1941, and that was the first time this base was operational?
That's correct.
Wow.
Yes.
And it hasn't been touched since, it looks like, right?
We're pretty much original.
Yeah.
I had a few buildings added to it.
I just can't believe they're still standing. I gotta be honest. Is that part due to you guys resurrecting these at this point?
It's partly because they weren't built well, even
Yeah.
though everyone said, oh, they just slapped them together. But they're very solid buildings, as long as we can keep the rain out of them.
You know, you're sort of maintaining the history here. This is a place of history, so you're trying to retain it the way it was before.
Yes.
Wow. But can we actually walk through a little bit?
I'd love to show you around.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Let's
Thanks,
go.
Dan.
So this is obviously some of the repairs you had to do, block off that hole, keep the animals out, keep the weather out.
Yep.
But this is what's happening right here to your structures.
For sure.
This is what you're dealing with.
Prime example.
And you can see that's all just water.
Yep.
That's
Water
water
rot.
just deteriorating the history here. First of all, Picton Airfield is still being used today by the Air Cadets, by the glider clubs. This is still an active airfield. It really is. Plus, you know, Jackie's using it for storage units to help bring money in to help pay for all this. Could you imagine trying to resurrect over 40 buildings that are 75 years old and have never been touched? And remember, there is no government grants at this place. This is them raising money the best way they can to resurrect it themselves. They are doing this all themselves. 2 people with the help of some volunteers. It's an incredible story, and I'd like to be part of it in some way and help them keep this alive. Is that Colin? Hey, how are you?
Good, how's it going, man?
Thought you'd come out and see how we're slaving away here in the
seriously,
sun.
beautiful Friday afternoon.
Well, I just thought we'd come and take a look at some of these, see how they're repairing some of them. I really wanted to see how they're trying to resurrect this place, you know?
Well, and it's just, what I find fascinating is, because these are the original shakes, aren't they, guys?
Yes, the original.
So we're talking 70, 75 years.
These
and
were
this,
salvaged off another building that was probably torn down, and we salvage everything we can here and reuse. We never buy new shakes. We just reuse, repurpose.
I just find it amazing. It's you're stepping back in time
Yeah.
70, 75 years.
Really, it's like it was left 75 years ago.
Seriously, it has not changed at all.
So what do you want us doing here, boys? You just going to do a little bit of patching
Well,
here?
we're just
What do you
patching a
want?
little bit today, just kind of keep the water out of the
Yeah.
building. So, yeah, not a big restoration here, but just a little bit. Show you a little bit what we do.
Hey, okay, so what do we do here, guys? We're just looking for spots like that?
That's right, match them up.
Yep.
We have some more in the truck here, some more in the tailgate, with some different sizes. Just match them up and
Yep.
take the. The Colonel want to try? Or?
Yeah, let me give one.
Don't.
Awesome. That.
As an Air Force guy, I mean, this place, you think about, you know, how we got to this point. You know, the RCAF at this point in time was less than, I mean, it was only 16 years old.
Right.
You know,
16 years old.
16 years old, and you have this massive effort, you know, to engage in World War II, you know, and the freedom of Europe and all these things going on, this massive undertaking here in Canada, that, you know, these sites, 230 some sites across the country, what I find amazing about it is they all went up in the span of about a year or two.
Right.
And they were responsible for training over 50% of the British and Commonwealth aircrew that flew in operations during the Second World War. And this one is even more interesting because this one wasn't just Royal Canadian Air Force. This one was Royal Air Force. This was the 31 Bombing and Gunnery School, and it was actually run by the Royal Air Force.
Oh, it's the British.
It was the British ran this one, and so you literally had Royal Air Force Brits coming here to Canada to train, getting qualified, and then going back to Europe to fly in operations, which is fascinating.
Absolutely. It's so wild to be able to walk around here because I've seen some pictures of the base when it was active here. And you know, that's what I mean by seeing ghosts. You're seeing those, I'm seeing those images in my head of people sitting on the stoops having a coffee back in the day, or people walking down this road right behind us here. You know, things like that. Every square inch of space on this property is a piece of our history, and there's 700 acres here. So you can just imagine the feeling of us sitting here. I'm a history buff, Colin's a history buff. All the people that work in this area here who work on this property are history buffs, and that's why they're doing this. It's overwhelming. It really, really is to think of what happened here and how important this was to the Canadian war effort, but also to the fact that, you know, Canada was made a country during this war in the First World War.
So you had mass amounts of trainees coming to Canada in order to be trained, and what's most amazing is these were, if you talk to some of them today who are in their 90s, they joined the Air Force, they either lied about their age or they got their parents to sign for them because they were under the age of 18. And, you know, and they were flying operations over Europe at a time when, you know, the average life expectancy in a bomber command crew, which is where the people that came out of this school would have gone, would have been in a bomber command. The average life expectancy in 1942, 1943 for these crews was 3 weeks.
It's interesting to me thinking about how a 16, 17, 18-year-old person, man, woman, would leave their farm or their house at that day and age and want to fight in a war. I had uncles who were 18 years old that went off to war at that time. And the reasons my uncles wanted to go is they wanted to do something for their country. There was Canadian pride.
It is the story of Canada. It's the story of people coming together to do amazing things from any and every background to produce something that at the end was for the good, you know, not just for the good of Canada, but for the good of humanity and the world.
I'm Jim Moffat, and I was born in August 6, 1921.
My name is Jim Fawcett, James Henry Fawcett.
My name is Robert Graham. Most people call me Bob.
I'm John Mylod, and I served in Bomber Command during the war.
I was a navigator with 427 Squadron.
I joined the Air Force without high school. I had no high school. But anyway, they said, well, you could be an air gunner.
I was very fortunate in being in the Air Force during the war as a tail gunner.
I had decided when I knew the war was coming about that I couldn't swim, so the Navy was off, and I couldn't walk very far, so the Army's done. The only thing I could do was go up, and at least I could fall down if I had to. And so that's how I decided on the Air Force.
I was scared. It was a war, it wasn't a bloody picnic, you know. But I knew at that time that the job I was doing was something I believed in.
We were approaching the Dutch coast, and a fighter was coming. And fortunate for me, I'm in the upper turret, down here and up this way, and you're level. The time we were level, he hit us. And the string of bullets are on both sides of me. Had we been slightly over, I'd have been right in the midst of it.
We were making the approach to Hamburg when all of a sudden we were jumped by the German jets. They got, I forget how many were shot down. I looked out once and there was a Lancaster off our starboard side, and he was on flames. And I heard the air crew yelling, jump, jump, jump. wishing the other crew would jump out of that Lanka, but no one jumped. And then all of a sudden it just disintegrated.
We were flying along, and the next thing you know, somebody said, "There's a Heikel here behind us." So the trick was to dive into the clouds, so he couldn't see us. And we'd just get under the clouds, and a few minutes after that, they pegged us down here. How did he do that? And then we go back up again. We did that for a good hour, I should think. And then as we got near Holland, we came down again, and the beggar was there, but he was in front. And the skipper said, "Now it's our turn." So he said, "Okay, front gunner, take him down." So that's when I opened fire and shut him down.
I got one aircraft over Italy, and I could have hit it with a baseball bat. You know, it was that close. And when you have those 4 guns on a swivel, that gun turret turns on power. So you swing it one way and swing it the other if he's that close, with your finger on the trigger. Well, you see it going down. And the crew would tell you, "You got it, Jimmy."
Every now and again, you see a big black explosion. We thought the first 2 or 3 trips, we thought that was Germans exploding things to scare us. But actually, it was an aircraft being hit. There's a big bang and there's nothing, bits and pieces. And you'd see 1 or 2 of those every time you flew over the target. No hope at all.
Yeah, I was hit with a round that bounced off the aircraft, I guess, somewhere, and hit me in the knee. And of course I screamed my head off. Everybody did, unless they're dead and they don't bother anybody.
It's 9 o'clock at night and it's dark. And Roger Fernier, my buddy that joined the Air Force ahead of me, well, he was like a brother to me. I see him walking up and I thought, "Oh my God, here's Roger." And so we shake hands and so on. And I said, "You're on ops tonight?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Well, I'll see you at 4 o'clock. They never came back. They were shot down, they were all killed. And that, I guess I cried for three or 4 days. You don't show it, you just do that at home or somewhere.
Do your thing and do it the best you can. They're not all perfect, you know. Some are scared shitless, but they fly because that's what they feel they should be doing for their country. If I get hit and get killed, I'm no different than anybody else that's been hit and got killed. What have they done better than I have, or worse than I have?
Sometimes it would come rushing back, and you just walk a little faster and wash your face and compose yourself and get back in.
If you see these tears coming down, it is just part of it.
I had nightmares, no question about it. I would wake up thinking I was still in the war, you know. That's really the essence of it. I was a very fortunate man. I had this beautiful woman, and I'd wake up terrified, and I'd be rubbing around in my dreams as I'm dreaming and screaming and my head off, and she'd just put her arms around me and gently wake me up, and then I could settle back down again and finally get back to sleep. But this went on for about 2.5 years before I didn't do it anymore. But she was a lifesaver in that regard. She took care of me, you know. Yeah. So I'm lucky. I'm a lucky man to have lived so long and had such a wonderful life. I'm lonely now since the wife died, of course, but up until that time it was heaven on earth.
I'm mighty proud.
If you ever go across the sea to Ireland, then maybe at the closing of your day, you may sit and watch the moon rise over Clara and see the sun go down on Galway Bay. And if there's going to be a life hereafter, and somehow I am sure there's gonna be, I will ask my God to let me make my heaven in that dear land across